Welcome everybody to the Education Research for the Capstone. Tonight we're going to talk about doctoral scholarship and then explore some advanced research techniques and strategies and resources that we have in the library. But before I do that, we need to talk what is expected of you as a doctoral scholar. Expectations for you for research at this level is usually a reliance on scholarly peer-reviewed sources with an emphasis on the current state of research. So this is within 5 years of your anticipated graduation date. It's the time for you to really hone in on your information literacy skills. Now, information literacy is it's just being able to recognize when information is needed, how to find that information, evaluate it to make sure that it's appropriate for your purposes, and then to use that information effectively. And this can be taught at all levels. It can be taught in elementary, can be taught in middle school and high school and college. However, when it comes to this advanced state that we are now, this doctoral scholarship, there are a little bit more it's a little bit more detailed. It's a different level of expectations. It's higher up for at this level for you. You should be doing a little bit more than just the basic information literacy. So the Association for College and Research Libraries has come up with a framework for information literacy in higher education. And this is how you should be looking at your resources and research as you're doing this process and going through the journey of writing and your dissertation and project study, I should say. And the first of which is that research as inquiry. You know that research is an ongoing process and that it's developing and changing constantly. You need to look at scholarship as a conversation. And when you have a conversation, you're going to have varied perspectives and interpretations. You need to look at searching as doing your research as strategic exploration. Don't be afraid to go where the literature takes you and go into it with an open mind. A lot of times students come in with a specific purpose that they want to do research on this one thing, but if the literature isn't there, if there's no research on this, you're not going to be able to do that dissertation or project study because a good dissertation or project study will be grounded in the literature. So be aware that you might have to take a step back, broaden your perspectives, and go where the literature takes you. It may not take you where you expect, but it could take you somewhere that will help you along this journey. You need to think of information as it has a value, and this is two-pronged. First of all, there is a legal value. You have a responsibility to yourself and the academic community to credit your sources. And there's also a socioeconomic value here. Information can be used for social change or social justice, which is very important for Walden. You need to be looking at authority as constructed and contextual. You need to realize that that you have to view experts with a bit of skepticism and be open to new perspectives. And finally, that information creation is a process and is happening at many different levels and formats. It can be made in a social media post or in a blog. And you have respect for all these levels of formats, but you also are able to evaluate and pick the appropriate format and level for your use. We're going to show you where and how to find the research you need in the library. Whether you're writing a dissertation or doing a project study, you're going to have to go beyond the resources you've used up to this point. You'll need to know how to use these information literacy skills to find, evaluate, interpret, and effectively use this information. So you're going to have to be prepared to spend some time exploring the library website, getting to know our resources and tools, both inside and outside the library. And that's what we want to show you tonight. So to start with, we're going to start inside the library and talk a little bit about the education research page. So this is the link to the education research page. I'm going to show you how to get there from the library website. If you go to the subject resources box, you can click on select a subject and then education. And I always recommend that you bookmark this page it's kind of your jumping off point for doing research in the field of education from the library. You can see that we have recommended databases. We also have education journals and books. And if you scroll down a little further under research help, we have more specific research information for you, such as doing information on the literature review, finding theories and theorists, methodology, statistics, tests and measures, all in the field of education. So don't be afraid to scroll down and explore some of these resources. What I want to do is just go ahead and jump into one of our databases and do some research. But before I do, I just want to quickly go over Boolean operators. So Boolean operators are terms that the databases can understand, and they help create precise and powerful searches that will bring back a higher percentage of relevant results. And the two Boolean operators we're going to use most are and or. There is a not, and I'm going to show you how that can come into play later on, but I'm just going to focus on and or. So the and Boolean operator, let's say I want to find people who like to have hot fudge and sprinkles on their ice cream. So that is going to be this overlap because they have to have both hot fudge and sprinkles. So now if I say I want to find people who like hot fudge and sprinkles and whipped cream, it's going to be this overlap. So you see, it's even a smaller section. So what and is doing is actually narrowing down your results, whereas or can expand your results. So let's say I'm looking for people who want hot fudge on their ice cream or sprinkles on their ice cream. So now instead of just getting the overlap, I'm getting all of this and all of this here too. So if I say, you know what, they can also, I also want people who like whipped cream, I'm getting all these people over here. So or is going to expand our searches. And now we're going to go into the database, and I'm just going to show you how we can use these Boolean operators to get relevant focused results. So we'll jump back here to the education databases, and I'm just going to go into education source. This is one of our best bets for education research. It has a broad coverage of educational materials and a higher percentage of peer-reviewed journals than ERIC does. So we need to take a topic. My topic tonight is going to be teachers' attitudes on standardized testing. So what I have to do is I have to take my topic and divide it into concepts. And you can see the database is already set up with those Boolean operators. So my first concept is going to be teachers. And one thing that EBSCO databases have started doing is if I start typing or, the database is going to auto-populate with suggestions. So it's going to come up with other terms or synonyms for the first term. So teachers or educators. In the second box, I have to put my second concept, which would be attitudes. And in my third box, I'll put my third concept, which is standardized testing. Now I need to scroll down and limit my results. The first thing I'm going to do is uncheck full text. Full text is great if you have a weekly assignment and you need access to that article right away. But when you're doing research at the Capstone doctoral level, you need to be comprehensive. You want to find everything out there. So by unchecking full text, you may get some articles that Walden doesn't have, but that's okay. I'm going to show you how you can get access to those articles. And we definitely want to limit it to peer-reviewed scholarly journals. I don't have to worry so much about date because right now I'm not really looking for articles. I'm looking for search terms to add to my search so I can be as comprehensive as possible. So I got 100 results, but I know I can find more. What I do is I start looking in the subject lines. These are kind of like the tags that the database assigns to an article. I look in here for additional terms. I look in the title of the article to see if they have any additional terms I may be able to add to my search. I can even just brainstorm. So I know another term for teachers or educators is instructors. Whoops. And I'll hit search, and since I added another or, I should get more. And I did. I got one more, not many, but I did get one more. Now I can go through and see if there's any other terms in the subject line. And here I see that there's educational tests and measurements. So that could also be meaning standardized tests. So I can put testing. I could put that in here with an or. And now I'll hit search and hopefully we'll get some more. All right, it went all the way up almost to 100 results. I can also click on the actual title, and this will bring me to a detailed record where I'll have access. Well, that's not a good example. I have a different result than I did earlier when I did this search. Let's try this one. Okay, so when I click on the title, it brings me to a detailed record. And what's really interesting about this is that sometimes they'll give you author supplied keywords, which is really great because this is what the author or the researcher, terms that they want you to know that their research is about. So sometimes you can find some really good terms in there. And also you're going to get access to the abstract. So you can read the abstract and see what other terms they're using. Again, I could just brainstorm or try to see if EBSCO can auto-populate some additional terms. So other terms for, or synonyms for attitudes would be perceptions or opinions or thoughts or feelings or beliefs. So now I'll hit search. And I have over 1,000. Another thing I could do here to expand my search is something called truncation. I can put an asterisk. Turn this to standard. With the little star, it's the Shift 8 key. And I could do the same for testing, just make it test with the asterisk. And what this does is this tells the database to only look for this root word. So it's going to look for standardized as well as standard. It's going to look for test and testing. So I have all those different combinations: standard test, standardized testing, and standard testing. Now when I hit search, we should get more results. And we do. We have almost 2,000 results. So this is great. But what I need to do now is I need to start limiting to get those focused results. And to do that, I am going to change the index field. I could tell the databases I only want articles that have these terms in the abstract. And the abstract has the key components of an article. So if these terms or the terms in here are in the abstract, I know that's what the article is going to be about. So that's bringing us down to just under 600. I can also tell the database to only bring back articles that when it finds terms in the subject line. So for these terms here in the third box, I'm going to say only want articles that have that as a subject tag and hit search. So now I have 325. Now, I haven't limited to date yet, and the reason being is I'm still going through and I'm looking for search terms, and I don't want to lose some search terms from some older articles that might have historical terms that I could use. For instance, English as a second language, ESL, has changed many times to English language learners or English foreign language learners and so forth. But sometimes those phrases still pop up in current research. So I want to make sure I'm finding all the terms I can and adding it to my search. Another thing I want to look for is to see if I can find some newer articles by doing something called citation chaining. So this article here was published in 2003, so it's kind of old, but the database has found it was cited in 15 articles. And if I click on this, it's going to bring me to those 15 articles. And since the first original article was published in 2003, all of these articles have to be published after 2003. And my computer is going very, very slow. Well, when I click on this link, I don't know why my computer is going so slow. I would get the list of those 15 articles and I can click on them to use them. The database will only bring back articles that we have access to, but I'm going to show you how we can use Google Scholar to find additional articles that would cite this original one. But before I do that, we're going to go and just really focus our results in to get to articles that we can use. So that means articles within 5 years of your anticipated graduation date. So in the left-hand column, I can change the date, and it will update to only articles that were published after 2015. and I think the database is freezing up on me. So I apologize for that. What is our time here? I am just, yeah, it's freezing up, but you know what? I'm going to very quickly do this again. Oh, it's not even auto-populating. So I think the EBSCO is having a problem. So I'm not going to be able to bring up those results, but that's all right. Actually, I'm ready to move on. We were going to get those recent articles within 5 years. Some reason, yeah, EBSCO isn't working because this is a live webinar. All right. I'm going to go show you now how to do how to find additional articles that cited that original article from 2003 by using Google Scholar. But before I do that, Anne, has any questions or anything they want me to go over? And again, I apologize for the databases not really working out for us tonight.
No, I'm just glad I was on mute because I burst out laughing because it does tend to fail when you're in the middle of a webinar. But no, no questions yet. So you're doing fine.
I did this today. I did this whole thing today and it worked perfectly. Okay, so we're going to access Google Scholar through the Walden Library. And the reason we're going to do that is because then Google Scholar will be linked to the Walden databases. So I'm going to start off by using this banner that goes across the top of every website in the library and click on Start Your Research. And then in the Search by Database box, I'm going to click on Google Scholar. Okay, this Google Scholar search box is linked with the Walden databases. So anything you search in here that Google Scholar finds, it will, and if Walden has it, we will have it'll have a Find at Walden link to it. So this is the article from 2003 that the database found 15 other articles that cited it. The great thing about Google Scholar is it is so fantastic to find exact articles because there's just so much information in there. So it found the article right away, and it has the Find at Walden link because we know that we have it in Walden. But what I want to look at is the cited by 76. So whereas the database only found 15 articles that cited this article, Google Scholar found 76. So now I can narrow this down a little because I can click on this little box here that says search within citing articles and say I only want articles that talk about elementary. And now it's down to 51 articles that not only cite this original article, but have elementary in them. I can now limit it to date. If I click on custom range, I can put in 2016. You never have to put an end date because it will automatically search through the present. And so now I'm down to 15 articles. So the next thing I want to do is access these articles. So how do I do that? First, look for the Find at Walden link. All you have to do is click on it, and I like to open it in a new tab so that my Google Scholar result list stays the same. It's the Find at Walden in Google Scholar is going to be just like the databases. It's going to bring you to this page with a list of databases where that article is located. Then you're going to go and pick the database that has the best result. You can see that the first two, they have this journal, but it's on a full text delay for 18 months. That means that if we cannot access any article published by Cambridge Journal of Education from these two databases until it's 18 months old. So that would be 2000 and maybe January of 2018. However, we can access articles from this journal through the present from Taylor and Francis. So that's why I'm going to access it through Taylor and Francis. The reason that there is this delay here, it's also called an embargo. It's put on by publishers because I think it has mostly to do with money, that they're making more money through other paying subscribers than they are through the libraries. So they just put embargo on it that libraries cannot access articles until they reach this certain age, 18 months. Sometimes it's only a year, sometimes it's 6 months. But lucky for us, this journal is available in Taylor and Francis through the present. So if I click on that, it's going to bring me to the full text of that article. And while that's going, I'm just going to go back and talk about a few other things here. You'll notice that there are some PDF links here. Sometimes you'll also see HTML links. That means that the database has found this article online for free. Just a word of caution, if you have two options, use the Find at Walden. Remember the information literacy standards that you guys are being held up to. Information has value. You want to make sure that you're accessing articles correctly. Sometimes articles end up online in copyright violation, so you don't want to access those articles. You want to make sure that you're accessing our articles ethically and that you're citing all of your sources as well. So if you only have a PDF link, you can go and see to it, see if it's open access. I know ScholarWorks is, usually they are open access. This is probably a dissertation that is published open access at this school. So that's why it is available online. But if you do have the option, I would definitely go with Find at Walden. Now, if you don't see any Find at Walden or PDF link, sometimes if you click on the little arrow key, let me see if I can, the Find at Walden will pop up. I don't know why it does this sometimes, it just hides there. It may not work, but sometimes it does work. And another thing you want to look for is all 5 versions. So if you have a blank here, this one doesn't have any links under it. So we'll just use this as an example. Sometimes when you click all 5 versions, it's going to pull up every place that Google found this article. And you can look and see if there's a Find at Walden or a PDF link here. Let me go back to my results. And finally, the last thing about Google Scholar is it does not limit to peer review. So you are looking for those peer-reviewed scholarly articles. You're going to have to verify that the journal is peer-reviewed. And to do that, we're going to use something called Ulrichs. So I think I'm going to use this article as an example. Peer-reviewed articles will come from a peer-reviewed scholarly journal. It's a journal that is technically peer-reviewed, and any scholarly article that they published is considered peer-reviewed. So you have to check the status of the journal. The easiest way to get the title of the journal is to click on the little quote mark here, and you get a pop-up with some suggested I said, formatting for different citation formats. Remember that this was input by a human and may have some errors, and I know that this one has errors because you can see it's in title case. In APA, the titles are supposed to be in sentence case. So just be aware that you should never copy citations generated from databases or online without going through them and confirming that they are correct. So I'm just going to copy the title of the journal, and I'm going to go back to the library website. And again, from this banner that goes across the top of every library page, I'm going to click on Start Your Research. And in the Search by Database box, right under Google Scholar, you'll see it says Ulrichs Verified Peer Review, so you know what Ulrichs is. All you have to do is paste the title in here and hit search, and this is going to take us to Ulrichs Periodicals directory. Now, Ulrichs is not a database, it's a directory of periodicals or journals, and it just has information about journals, but it's also the standard for peer reviewed. So what we want to do is we want to find the journal title, and here it is right here. We want to look in this column right here. It looks like a little referee jersey, and if you put your cursor over it, you see it says refereed. So another term for peer reviewed is refereed. And if that icon is there, it means that this journal is a peer reviewed scholarly journal, and any scholarly articles that it publishes would be considered peer reviewed. So this article is considered peer reviewed. And if that's what you need, if that's what you're looking for, then it would be appropriate for you to use. And I have links in the slide presentation to where you can go to access Google Scholar, the library guides on citation chaining, and how to verify peer review. Next thing I wanted to talk about is dissertations, but I'll pause for a minute if anyone has any questions.
Nope, we're good.
Fantastic. Okay, so here's the link to where you can find dissertations, at the Walden Library. I'm going to go there right now. If you click on the W University Library, it'll bring you right to the library homepage. And from there, you'll see we have a big blue button for dissertations. Here we have Walden dissertations, all dissertations, and ScholarWorks. ScholarWorks is the institutional repository for Walden. It's where you can find all of our peer-reviewed journals from all of our different schools. It's where you will find publications from faculty, staff, and students, and also the award-winning dissertations and project studies. So if you're interested in finding out what it takes to be an award-winning dissertation or project study, you can go to ScholarWorks and look those up. All dissertations is not every dissertation. It just expands the search outside of Walden to any open access dissertations that are published, that are available in ProQuest. What we're going to do, though, is go into Walden's dissertation database. If you're looking up dissertations, first of all, they're a great resource, and we have this great database for you. So I highly recommend that you do that. They can show you how dissertations or a project study are organized, how they flowed. You can look at the completed ones, that's your end goal. So you can see what is expected of you. It's also a great place to do reference mining. Think about it. These are people who just finished doing what you're about to start. They have done a comprehensive search of the literature, and they have found the best resources to support their study. And most of them are going to be 5 years or less old. They're pretty much handing you on a silver platter all this great resources that you can use. So if you search for something close to your topic, you can go through the reference list and see who they are citing. You can also search by degree. So for instance, if you are EDD, all you have to do is type in EDD, go over here to the index box and select degree. And do within 2 years, because you want the most recent in case or something has changed in the template or format. And so now we have the EDD dissertations or project studies that have been published in the last 2 years. You can also search for PhDs in education. It's a little bit different. You can put your PhD in there for degree, but you're going to want to put in education as the department. ProQuest catalogs the dissertations, the library doesn't. So it really doesn't have an area of field for college, but I found that if you do search for education in the department, you're going to find dissertations that are coming from the College of Education. So now we'll go ahead and hit search. And we have 143. I'm pretty sure that there's more, but this is how it just pulled them up for us with this search. It's not a perfect search, but it is a good way just to kind of limit it down to those education, College of Education dissertations, project studies. And then just to confirm, you kind of go in and you could see it right there. I'm going to go in and just do a quick search on, let me just add something in here. Let's say we were talking about student success. Narrow this down a little bit. Okay. All right. So let's say you're doing a dissertation, getting your PhD in education, and your topic is student success. You can do a search and find other dissertations in this field and see how they're set up and how they're organized. Since it's kind of related because it's about student success, you can also see what theory that they use. And then you can, after that, check out their methodology. The easiest way to do that is to scroll down to the table of contents. And so here we have Chapter 1, how it's structured. Chapter 2, the literature review, begins on page 28 and goes to page 77. In here, we're also going to find out what they used for their conceptual framework. We can scroll down. What page was that? chapter 2, sorry, page 29. So sometimes you can click on it in the table of contents and it'll bring you right there. Sometimes it won't. So you have to scroll down, but here is the conceptual framework, so we can learn what the conceptual framework they used, and then see who they're citing, who is the seminal work, the original work. Usually it's more than 5 years old. Go through and see if who they're citing that's recent, people that you may be able to use. And then what you can do is go up to the reference button, and it's going to default to the most recent first. However, if you click here, you can sort by author name and just click sort, and it'll list it by author's name so you can find the citations you are looking for. Or you can just kind of go through and see what they have here. Now, sometimes if the citation isn't set up correctly, you can see it's not going to list the most recent first. So you just have to kind of scroll down a little. And then like once we get here, actually, when the citations we get a little bit more formatted, you'll see these will be the most recent and onward. A lot of times we have these articles. All you have to do is click on the Find at Walden. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And it did work. So you can just click on Business Source Complete. I think that this is over a year old, so we should have access to it. Yeah, there it is. Okay, now if you come across something and it looks like we don't have it, what you can do, I'm just gonna grab this as an example. You can go to Google Scholar and see if we can find it in there. So I'm just going to go, let me go back to the library website. Go to Start Your Research, Google Scholar, and I'm going to search for that article. And there it is. It found it right away. Unfortunately, it did not find it free online, and it did not find it in the library. I'm not seeing those little arrows, so I'm going to click on Related. Oh, no, not Related. I meant to do Other Versions. So there's no Other Versions link there. So basically, it looks like the library doesn't have this article. So what you can do when that happens is go to the Ask a Librarian link and email us that citation. We can do a little further searching, see if we can find it online. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. See maybe if it's in a different database. If not, we'll let you know. If we find it, we'll send it to you. If we can't, we'll let you know, and we're going to send you to Document Delivery Service. So the Document Delivery Service is a service that the library has for students and for faculty. We can access it on this bar at the top, Document Delivery Service. It's under Services, Document Delivery Service for students. Basically what we'll do, if we don't have an article for you, we will pay up to $55 to get that article. So we'll pay a publisher $55 to get that article, and then we'll email it to you. There's a couple of things you should be aware of. It takes 7 to 10 days to receive the article, which you will receive electronically. You're going to want to keep that in mind. You're not going to want to do this for a weekly assignment, but it would be acceptable for doing it for your capstone project. It's always free to you. We have that $55 cap. So if it's more than $55, we may have to cancel your request, but then, we may be able to help you find it at a library near you. So just reach back out to us through Ask a Librarian. And also there is a 30 article per lifetime limit. I don't want this to deter anyone. I've really only seen it come up once or twice. And I think both of those times it was faculty who have been doing a lot of research. So that is some of the great ways that you can use dissertations to help your own research, and then how to find some of those articles in the reference list for those dissertations. I made a slide here because I didn't go through all the different ways to find dissertations. So these are just quick answers that talk about how you can find dissertations, EDD project studies, award-winning dissertations, and also how you can find dissertations by chair. This can be very helpful because you can see what that chair expects of their students in a published dissertation or project study. All right, so Anne, did we have any other questions or anything?
No, it's a quiet group tonight.
Okay. All right, so the next thing I want to talk to you about are journal alerts and search alerts. It is really important for you to stay on top of the literature in your field. Remember in the beginning when I was talking about information literacy, I was talking about research as inquiry, as an ongoing process, and scholarship as a conversation. You need to be aware of what that conversation is in your field, because the literature review is part of the literature review is to show how you are contributing to that conversation. And the best way to do that is to know what's being published right now. And setting up alerts is such a great way to do that. Journal alerts is, if you set up a journal alert, what will happen is the next time that journal publishes an issue, it will email you its table of contents, and you'll have a link to all of the articles that's in that publication. A search alert is if you're doing a search and you're getting really good focused searches, you can set up a search alert to tell the databases to rerun that search every so often. And if they find any new articles, they'll email it to you. So basically, the database will be doing the search for you and sending you the articles. Let me go ahead and show you how to do that. You need to also you may have to set up an account with the database that provides us access to the journal or the search that you did. But I'll show you an example. So first off, let's go do a journal alert. If you have a title of a journal, so if you're doing research and you're getting articles out of the same journal, you may want to set up an alert for that journal. From the library website, you can just click on the journals button and then type in the name of the title of that journal in here. If you don't have a specific journal, you can browse the journals by discipline by clicking on that link. Oh, it's being slow. Let me just type in the American Journal of Education, since the databases or the website is not cooperating. This might be an EBSCO thing, and our journals are listed, our journal searches through EBSCO. Oh, I think this one came up. Yeah, okay. So from the library website, I clicked on, in the journals, I just clicked on Browse Journals by Subject. And now I have all the different subjects, so I can limit to education. And then from here, I just want to limit to peer-reviewed scholarly journals. And you'll see that the library has about 1,600 peer-reviewed scholarly journals in education. Now I can search for a concept in here in the search box at the top, or from the blue column on the left-hand side, I can pick a subject. So I'll just click on this Show More, and I'll get a pop-up screen. And basically, this is saying that out of the 1,600 journals, 376 of them have the subject tag education. 126 have the subject tag higher education. So let's say that I am interested in adult education. I'll click update and I'll get to see those 34 journals. And then to set up a journal alert, the first thing I need to do is make sure that we still have full access to that journal. So as you can see, this journal, we don't have access to it anymore after 2006. A lot of reasons for that. The journal might not be in publication anymore. The database vendors may have dropped it. I really wouldn't be able to tell you why. There's so many different reasons. But this one, the second journal, you can see when I click on the full text access link and it tells me the databases where it's available, all of these databases say it's available through the present. So to set up the journal, I have to do that in the actual database. And I'm going to do this in Sage just because EBSCO was giving me some problems before. So I'm going to click on Sage. And to set up a journal, an alert, most of the databases require you to set up an account with them. This is with the database. It has nothing to do with the library. Just look for the sign in, and you can see here, you can create a profile. I already have one, so I'm just going to sign in. Just be aware that every time you enter a database and you have an account with them, you then will have to sign into that account with that database vendor. Just going into the library and opening up Sage is not going to bring me to my account. I have to sign in again. So here is the journal. In Sage, what I want to do is just scroll down to where's the connect. Oh, I'm sorry, I need to click on the journal home button first, where it talks about the journal. And I just need to scroll down and look for the connect with us, and you'll see it says email alerts. So I can just go here and click sign up. It says added, new content or announcements. I want the new content. So that's just going to say email me when they have actual articles, and I added it. So you can see here it is. So this is actually in my profile. I have 3 journal alerts. And I'll show you what is going to happen. This is an example of a journal alert from the Journal of Library and Information Services and Distance Learning. This is the latest issue that they have, and they just email me their table of contents. So there's the note from the editor, but then I have all the articles, I have direct links to them. So I know what the current conversation in my field is right now. Next, I want to show you how to set up a search alert. And to do so, I need to have a search. Let me just, this is something I guess I looked up. Let's go back to the result list and see what happens. Okay, all right. Let's just change this to education leadership. And that's a lot. So I want education leadership as a subject term. And I want peer reviewed. I'm sorry, I'm going to get this very quickly to show you this example. And come on. Sorry, my screen's jumping all around because I'm trying to do this quickly. Okay, so let's say I did this search for education leadership as a subject term, and I also have higher education in there as a subject term, and I get this great result list. Now, this is a very focused result list. I can use every one of these articles. So I want this database to run this search every so often and just email me when it finds new articles. To do that, I'm going to go over to the share. And it says email alert. EBSCO, actually, let me get out of here because in EBSCO, you do have to have an account. So let me sign in first. And if you can create a new account, but oops, I'm clicking away too much. I have one, so I'll just sign in and it'll bring me back to my search. Okay, but now I know I'm signed in because it says my EBSCO and I can see my name over here and I have my folders. So I just click share, email alert. I don't have to have it email me at my, my Walden email. I can have it emailed anywhere. I recommend having it sent HTMLs so you can just click on the results. I don't run it every day. I mean, once a month is fine for me. Leave articles published within the last year because remember, some journals have an embargo and the articles may be a year old by the time, but they're new to the database. So you want to be able to make sure you're not missing those articles. And then once you do that, you just click on Save Alert, and EBSCO will run this search every month and send you the results. And I have an example of that. So here is a search alert I have, and it goes over, and this is an old one I just pulled up, but this is what I was searching. And it found 25 results, and it gives me a link to each one, a little explanation. This one looks like it's in a foreign language, but it gives me the citation information and a link to that actual article. So just remember that the literature review is a critical assessment of the available research on a research problem. And you need to know what is going on now. So it's very, very important for you guys to be, to know what's being published now, even if it's not specifically on your topic, because you have to say, this is what's being published now. This is how my research is contributing to that conversation. This is the unique aspect that it is bringing to this conversation. So you need to know how you can do that by knowing what is being published right now. Okay, and this is a link to the guide to set up journal alerts. Remember, all the data and search alerts, all the databases have the ability to do this, but they all look a little different. If you are in there and you're not sure how to set it up, all you have to do is go to Ask a Librarian and email it us, and we will get back to you. So I do have some additional resources on this page, a link to the document delivery service that I mentioned, a link to our Get Help page with some instructional videos. We have upcoming webinars, archived webinars and tutorials, information about staying organized. We have a citation management software guide and some videos. And then we also have a link to the Education Literature Review Guide, which goes into a little further detail, the role of the literature review, and links to most of the things that I have talked about tonight. And that really brings us to the end of our presentation. I just, again, very quickly want to show you the quick answers and the Ask a Librarian from the Walden, from any Walden website. Let me grab a Walden with any library website. You have this banner across the top. You can just click on the Ask a Librarian. You can email us. We respond to we are on reference 7 days a week, unless the library is closed for a holiday. It's usually, we give 24 hours, but it's usually a lot faster than that. We do have chat. When you click on chat, today's date when chat is live would be highlighted, and the times are in Eastern Daylight Times. And chat is open right now because it has a nice blue chat is live button there. You can also call the library and leave a voicemail. That voicemail will just go in queue with all the other emails, and we will respond to it by email. I actually recommend doing an email. I think it's you'll be able to tell us what your question is. Sometimes the voicemail, things can get cut off and we may not understand what your question is. And for a little more in-depth, you can set up a doctoral research appointment with either myself or Anne. All you have to do is select the College of Education, and then look and see what days are available. Anne and I have different have appointments on different days. Then just pick a day and a time, and you can meet with us by telephone, by Zoom, or Skype. I would recommend Zoom or Skype because then we can share our screens, so that sometimes that could be a little bit more helpful. And also from the Ask a Librarian page, on the left-hand side, we do have a link to quick answers, which are frequently asked questions. So if you have a question for the library, odds are somebody has already asked that question. So all you have to do is type it in there, and you'll see we have links. What is peer review? How do I find an article that's not peer reviewed? How do I find scholarly peer reviewed articles? And you have to click on, you'll click on it, and it'll have step-by-step links out to other resources and information at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so does anybody have any questions?
No, we've got some thank yous. Somebody did ask if we can do ProQuest alerts, and I just said, so I'll just say to everybody that really all the databases have those alert options, so yes.
Yes, they do. ProQuest is actually one of the easier ones because, well, I'm in the dissertation database, but you don't have to have an account with to set up a search or alert or journal alert in ProQuest. It will you can just set one up without an account. I think they're the only one that allows you to do that.
Yes, I think the only one.
I'm just seeing if I can run a quick search. Yeah, so if you do a search in ProQuest, it's really easy. It just says save search alert right there. Create alert. And then just follow the steps. And like I said, you don't need an account. What will happen is ProQuest will email you to whatever email you put in here and say, do you really want this do you really want to create this? And you just have to confirm that you do. And then you set a deadline, how long you want it to go, 6 months, a year. And then before it runs out, ProQuest will start emailing you saying, your alert's going to run out in so many days or so many weeks. Do you want to renew it? And then you can just renew it. Yeah, but they all have the capability, but they all look different. So sometimes just ask a librarian might be the easiest way to find how to do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, since people were so quiet with questions tonight, that as questions arise, as you move forward, just feel free to use that Ask a Librarian to ask your questions. And somebody did ask about the recording availability, and that email will go out tonight or tomorrow. It goes out within 24 hours, so that'll have the link to the recording for you. So you can review things that way as well. And otherwise, I guess that's it for questions.
Yes, great. Well, thank you everybody for joining us from across the United States. I liked how you all added all the places where you're from. Yeah, that's it. So have a good night, and you'll be receiving the recording, as Anne mentioned, tonight or tomorrow.